Spring training has started and the regular season is just around the corner. So with 2024 baseball approaching so fast, I wanted to revisit what happened in 2023. So today I'm breaking down every team's best trade of the 2023 calendar year. Now, a few ground rules. I'm only considering trades from between January 1st and December 31st of 2023. So you're not going to see Sean Murphy, you're not going to see Corbin Burns, you're not going to see Jorge Polanco. Those trades happened either in 2022 or in 2024, so they're not eligible here. And I'm also not considering purchases or players traded just for cash, and I'm not considering trades for unnamed players to be named later or future considerations. We've got to have a player going one way and a player going the other way at a minimum. We can have more players involved, of course. For the Diamondbacks, I'm going with their deadline trade with Seattle that brought them reliever Paul Sewald. They gave up a couple minor pieces: backup infielder Josh Rojas, depth outfielder Dominic Canzone, and shortstop prospect Ryan Bliss, who was outside the team's top 15 prospects. And Sewald became the team's closer and was a huge piece of their late push to the playoffs. He had 13 saves and 15 opportunities, and he was elite through most of the playoffs as well. He did get blown up a couple times in the World Series, but he's still under contract for another year, and he's going to be the Diamondbacks' closer for 2024. Now, the Braves only made a couple minor trades during the 2023 season, so we're going to choose one from after the season. After flipping the injured starter Kyle Wright to Kansas City for reliever Jackson Kowar, the Braves paired him with pitching prospect Cole Phillips and sent him to the Mariners for starter Marco Gonzalez, first baseman Evan White, and outfielder Jared Kelenic. This was a salary dump by the Mariners as they wanted out of the contracts of Gonzalez and White. Now, the Braves have since flipped both Gonzalez and White. Gonzalez was sent to the Pirates for cash, and White was traded to the Angels for infielder David Fletcher and catcher Max Stassi, who was then flipped to the White Sox for a player to be named later that hasn't been named. So the Braves' return here, ignoring any cash because we don't really know the exact amounts, is really Kelenic and Fletcher. Kelenic is coming off a breakout season in 2023, in which he finally batted over 200 and put up a 109 OPS plus and 2 WAR. He's projected to slot in as the Braves' left fielder next season. And Fletcher has struggled the last couple of years with injuries and poor performance. He even spent most of 2023 in AAA. He is a non-roster invite to spring training, and he's going to try and win himself a bench spot for Atlanta. For the Orioles, we don't have a lot to work with. They only made 4 trades in 2023, and most of them weren't that good. So I'm going with their acquisition of starter Cole Irvin from the A's before the season. He didn't do much for Baltimore in 2023, but he wound up spending a lot of the season in the minors, but he was above replacement, which is more than I can say for their deadline additions of Shintaro Fujinami and Jack Flaherty. Now, the Orioles did give up a decent prospect to get him, shortstop Darrell Hernaiz, who reached AAA last season and played pretty well there. But the O's have great organizational depth, particularly at middle infield, so this really doesn't hurt them that much. With Kyle Bradish and John Means dealing with injuries heading into spring training, Irvin might actually have a spot in the O's rotation to start the 2024 season. The Red Sox had a tough year in 2023, but a bright spot was the health of longtime ace Chris Sale, who finally reached 20 starts and 100 innings pitched for the first time since 2019. Boston decided to capitalize on that to get out of the end of Sale's pricey contract. In December, they sent Sale and $17 million cash to the Braves for young infielder Vaughn Grissom. So not only will they save more than $10 million by moving Sale, but they get 6 years of Grissom, who's expected to be their starter at second base. He's shown flashes in 64 MLB games with the Braves, and he joins a young lineup with the rebuilding Red Sox and could be a real great piece for them. The Cubs only made 4 trades the entire year, and unfortunately none of them were really wins. So the trade I'm choosing for them is one they still probably lost, but the one where they're actually getting a little bit of value back. At the trade deadline, the Cubs sent outfielder Nelson Velazquez to the Royals for reliever Jose Cuas. Velazquez had been okay in his 90 games as a Cub, but with a logjam in their outfield, they moved him, and he put up more than 1 WAR in 40 games down the stretch for the Royals. Cuas was solid for the Cubs, putting up a 1.49 ERA plus and .5 WAR in 27 appearances, and he'll remain in their bullpen for 2024. At the trade deadline, the White Sox sent starter Lucas Giolito and reliever Ronaldo Lopez to the Angels. They got back 2 prospects: Edgar Quero, who's a catcher, he's in the top 5 of their system, and Kai Bush, who's a pitcher, who's top 15 in their system. Quero performed really well at AA last year, and he's projected to start the season in AAA. He's also just 20, and he switch hits, and he could reach the majors this season. Kai Bush is a little bit older, he's 24, and he struggled last year at AA following some injuries. He was much better at AA in 2022, and he's a big guy. He stands at 6'6", and he's got a nice assortment of pitches that give him some upside, particularly his slider. Now, the White Sox, despite being dreadfully bad in 2023, they actually had a really good deadline. They got 2 other pitching prospects who were top 10 in their system. They got Jake Eater from the Marlins and Nick Nastrini from the Dodgers. In February of 2023, the Reds got outfielder Will Benson from the Guardians for 2 unranked prospects, which made sense at the time. Benson had just 28 MLB games under his belt, and he wasn't really good in that showing. He proceeded to break out in 2023, putting up a team-leading 130 OPS plus in 108 games. Benson projects as the Reds' starter in right field for 2024, and he's under team control for another 5 years. This was a huge steal for the Reds. The Guardians sold at the 2023 deadline, and the best of those trades sent Aaron Civale to the Rays. In return, Cleveland got first base prospect Kyle Manzardo. Manzardo was nothing short of remarkable in AAA after the trade, slashing .256, .348, .590 in 21 games. He's currently a top 60 prospect in MLB, the number 2 prospect in the Guardians system, and he'll have a chance to make the opening day roster. The Rockies really didn't do well in their deadline sell-off in 2023, so I'm going to highlight an interesting trade they made in November. They sent catching prospect Cody Huff, unranked in their system, to the Guardians for starter Cal Quantrill. Quantrill's coming off a terrible year in Cleveland, but the 2 years before were pretty solid. He joins the Rockies' shallow rotation as their projected number 2 starter behind Kyle Freeland. And I do feel kind of bad for him. Of all the places for a pitcher to turn things around, Coors Field is probably the worst, but as a buy low move for Colorado, I really like it. In November, the Tigers acquired outfielder Mark Canha from the Brewers. While he's already 35 and only under contract for 2024, the Tigers got him cheap. They gave up minor league pitcher Blake Holub, who's 25, never pitched above Double-A, and was unranked in their system. Canha's coming off a really solid year split between the Mets and Brewers, and he's expected to slot into left field and bat in the middle of the Tigers' young lineup. The Astros only made 3 trades in 2023, and the best of those was bringing back ace Justin Verlander at the deadline. In 11 starts, Verlander put up a 7-3 record, a 1.27 ERA+, and 1.3 WAR, and the Astros will have him for another 2 seasons. Now, at his age, he could fall off at any point, but Verlander has been remarkably elite through his late 30s. The Astros did send the Mets top 60 prospect outfielder Drew Gilbert, but they have their ace back for 2 more years. In June, the Royals sent their closer Aroldis Chapman to the Texas Rangers, and they got 2 players back. One of those 2 players isn't really relevant yet. He's 18-year-old outfielder Ronnie Cabrera, and he hasn't played above rookie ball. But the other player is starter Cole Ragans. He quickly became the Royals' ace. In 12 starts with Kansas City last year, Ragans pitched to a 5-2 record, a 1.68 ERA+, and 2.6 WAR. Now that 2.6 WAR is more than any Royal last season other than Bobby Witt Jr., and Ragans only spent half the year there. He's just 26, and he's under team control for another 5 seasons. It's an amazing return for just 3 months of a closer. The Angels went all in over the summer, trading prospects for pending free agents Eduardo Escobar and Mike Moustakas, Lucas Giolito, Ronaldo Lopez, CJ Cron, Randall Grichuk, and Dominic Leone. Now, none of them were really good for LA, and they wound up collapsing down the stretch and giving up some of those players for free on waivers. So their best trade, or least bad trade, was acquiring CJ Cron and Randall Grichuk from the Rockies. They gave up 2 prospects, Mason Albright and Jake Madden, who are outside the Rockies' top 20 prospects and haven't yet reached Double-A. Cron was terrible in his return to the Angels. He put up a 43 OPS plus and minus .5 WAR, and hit just 1 homer in 15 games. He injured his back in mid-August. He returned for a game in September where he re-aggravated the injury and missed the rest of the season. He then became a free agent, and he remains unsigned. While Grichuk wasn't nearly as good as he'd been in Colorado, putting up a career-worst 80 OPS plus in 54 games, he was still solid enough defensively to put up .3 WAR. And he also became a free agent. He signed with the Diamondbacks. The Dodgers mostly added around the margins in 2023, so the trade I'm choosing here is relatively minor. In January, they sent infield prospect Jacob Amaya, ranked 19th in their system, to the Marlins for shortstop Miguel Rojas. Amaya is already 25. He debuted with the Marlins last summer, and he didn't really show that much in his brief stint with the Major League team. And Rojas had a really solid year with the Dodgers. Despite not hitting well at all, he played phenomenal defense. Rojas led NL shortstops in total zone and finished 3rd in defensive WAR with 1.8. Plus, he only cost the Dodgers $5 million for the season. He has another year under control with a team option for 2025. He's likely moving to the bench in 2024 with Gavin Lux healthy again, but after a year, I think this trade worked out for the Dodgers. The most notable trade for the Marlins in 2023 is also probably their best. Before the 2023 season, they traded starter Pablo Lopez and 2 prospects to the Twins for second baseman Luis Arraez, and this is probably the best win-win trade of the season. Arraez went on to win a batting title, putting up a 133 OPS plus and nearly 5 WAR, making the All-Star game and winning the Silver Slugger, and they have him under contract for 2 more seasons. During the trade deadline, the Brewers needed a power-hitting first baseman, so they acquired pending free agent Carlos Santana from the Pirates for a prospect, 18-year-old shortstop Johnny Severino. Santana was solid the rest of the season, batting mostly 3rd, and putting up a 109 OPS plus and 1.1 WAR in 52 games, as the Brewers finished atop the NL Central. Santana left for the Twins in free agency, but Milwaukee got pretty solid value here. As I mentioned for the Marlins, before the 2023 season, the Twins traded Arraez to the Marlins for starter Pablo Lopez and 2 prospects. Now those prospects are young, neither one's reached Double-A yet, but they're both under 21, so they could eventually contribute. But the real prize here was Lopez. He had a phenomenal year. He put up an 11-8 record, a 117 ERA+, and 3.3 WAR, while making the All-Star game and finishing 7th in Cy Young voting. He also signed an extension with the Twins, so he's under contract for another 4 years. I'm going to cheat a little bit for the Mets. I'm going to pick 2 trades, but I think it's important to talk about both of them. Now, at the deadline, the Mets traded their 2 future Hall of Fame aces, Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. They sent Scherzer to the Rangers for infield prospect Luis Angel Acuna, who's the younger brother of NL MVP Ronald Acuna Jr., and they sent Verlander to the Astros for first base and outfield prospect Ryan Clifford and outfield prospect Drew Gilbert. Now, Clifford's a top 10 prospect in the Mets system. He's 20 years old, and he topped out at High A last year, and he's expected to begin 2024 with Double A. The other two, Acuna and Gilbert, are now 2 of the Mets' top 3 prospects. Acuna's 21 and Gilbert's 23. They both topped out at Double A last season. They're likely to start 2024 in Triple A, but they could both reach the majors this year if they continue to perform well. Plus, the Mets got out of over $40 million in obligations to pay both Scherzer and Verlander for 2024. In December, the Yankees picked up outfielders Juan Soto and Trent Grisham from the Padres for backup catcher Kyle Higashioka, top 100 pitching prospect Drew Thorpe, and 3 young MLB pitchers, Mike King, Johnny Brito, and Randy Vasquez. Soto needs no introduction. He's one of the best hitters in baseball and is a perennial MVP candidate. He's coming up with an amazing year where he led MLB in walks, set a career high with 35 homers, and finished 6th in NL MVP voting. The Yankees got a huge upgrade to their outfield here between him and Trent Grisham, who will be the team's 4th outfielder off the bench. Grisham's been bad at the plate the last 2 years, but he's also an elite defender and has 2 career gold gloves. Soto they only have for 2024, but this is a great trade for the Yankees. By the start of 2023, the A's had basically run out of major players to sell off. In January, they sent starter Cole Irvin to the Orioles for shortstop prospect Darrell Hernaiz. He's only 22, and he's now a top 10 prospect in the A's system. He had a great year split between AA and AAA, and he's currently projected to be the A's starter at shortstop for 2024. The Phillies only made a couple minor trades in 2023. The one I want to highlight was in March when they traded unranked pitching prospect Billy Sullivan to the A's for outfielder Christian Pache. Pache missed a lot of the season with injuries, but when healthy, he had the best year of his career. In 48 games, he put up a 100 OPS plus and .7 WAR while playing solid defense around the outfield. He's still with the Phillies, and he's expected to be their bench outfielder for 2024. In December, the Pirates acquired outfielder Edward Olivares from the Royals for Davis Nadal, a 22-year-old infield prospect who's unranked in their system and hasn't played above A-ball. Olivares will compete for the starting right field job in spring training, and while his defense is significantly below average, PNC's Park right field isn't that big, so he might actually be okay there. In any case, his bat will provide some value to them either at the bottom of the lineup or off the bench in 2024. At the deadline, the Padres bought, adding around the margins. The best of those additions was reliever Scott Barlow, who they got from Kansas City for 2 unranked prospects, and he had a solid end of the year in San Diego. Barlow pitched to a 135 ERA plus and .2 WAR in nearly 30 innings. After the season, with a year left before free agency, the Padres flipped Barlow to Cleveland for reliever Enyel De Los Santos, who has 3 years of control remaining and is coming off 2 really solid seasons out of the Guardians' pen. So despite it being Jerry DiPoto's favorite thing to do, he only made a couple major trades in 2023, and those major trades were more about clearing salary so they aren't as good on the field. My pick here is a trade from back in January of 2023, when the Mariners sent pitching prospect Joseph Hernandez, who topped out at AA back in 2021, to the Brewers for a reliever who'd spent most of his career in the minors. That pitcher was Justin Topa, who had a great year. He put up a 155 ERA plus and 1.6 WAR in 75 appearances. Then the Mariners included him in their package they sent to Minnesota for Jorge Polanco. The Giants are another team here that has not that many options, so I'm going to pick a trade from early January of 2023. San Francisco shipped out reliever Junior Marte, who had been below replacement in 2022, to the Phillies for minor league pitcher Eric Miller. Miller's already 26, but he performed very well between AA and AAA last year, and he might have a shot at joining the Giants' bullpen for 2024. And Marte was below replacement again in 2023, so getting any value back is a win. At the deadline, the Cardinals moved 2 pending free agent pitchers, starter Jordan Montgomery and reliever Chris Stratton, to the Texas Rangers for relief pitcher John King and 2 prospects. Now we'll talk about just how good Monty and Stratton were in a bit, but the Cardinals got a really good return here for them. John King had a great end to 2023 with the Cardinals, pitching to a 306 ERA plus and .9 WAR in less than 20 innings. And he's under team control for another 4 years. The 2 prospects are pitcher Tekoa Roby and infielder Thomas Sigjazy. They're both top 10 in the Cardinals system. Roby's 22, and he reached AA last season, which is where he's probably going to start 2024. And Sigjazy's 21, and he's already reached AA. There's a chance he spends some time in the majors this year. Back in June, the Rays sent unranked shortstop prospect Alika Williams to the Pirates for pending free agent reliever Robert Stevenson. Stevenson was phenomenal for Tampa Bay the rest of the year, putting up a 1.79 ERA plus, a whip under .7, and 1.2 WAR in less than 40 innings. He's since left for the Angels in free agency, but the Rays got great value here. The Rangers went all in on the way to their first championship in 2023, and the best of those trades was with the Cardinals. Jordan Montgomery and Chris Stratton were acquired from the Cardinals for reliever John King and 2 prospects. Montgomery was elite with the Rangers, putting up a 4-2 record, a 1.60 ERA plus, and 2.1 WAR in just 11 starts, and he helped lead them through the playoffs with a 3-1 record and ERA under 3 in 6 games. And Stratton was also good for the Rangers, putting up a 1.32 ERA plus and .4 WAR in 29 innings. He did get blown up a little bit in the playoffs, though. And both Montgomery and Stratton hit free agency after the season. Stratton has signed elsewhere, but Montgomery is still a free agent and might return to the Rangers. At the deadline, the Blue Jays made 3 separate trades with the Cardinals. The best of those was acquiring reliever Genesis Cabrera for an unranked prospect. Cabrera had some of his best numbers of his career down the stretch, putting up a whip under 1, a 1.62 ERA plus, and .2 WAR in 23 2/3 innings. He's under team control for 2 more years, and he should play an important role in the Jays' deep bullpen in 2024. The Nationals really don't have a lot to choose from here, but their trade of Jeimer Candelario to the Cubs was okay. They got back 2 prospects, shortstop Kevin Made and pitcher DJ Hers, and they're both top 20 prospects in the Nats system. Made is 21, he struggled in high A after the trade, and so he may start there, he may start in Double A in 2024, we don't know yet, but he's going to need to improve things if he wants a shot at the majors eventually. And DJ Hers is 23, and he was very good in Double A to end the 2023 season. He's projected to start 2024 in Triple A, but he could reach the majors during the season. Now, did I miss your favorite trade of 2023? Let me know down in the comments if there's one that you think is better than the one I chose. This was a difficult challenge for a couple teams who had a lot of good trades during the season. If you made it this far, like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.